Reform are always banging on about challenging the establishment, right? Turns out, when you pull back the curtain, it looks less like rebellion, more like carefully executed authoritarian playbook, with a convenient side order of alleged foreign cash. Danny Kruger kicked it off in Parliament. He stood there and actually questioned whether the government should be able to overturn police decisions. He even pointed to the Police Act and asked if ministers should sack police constables.
What has happened is that a political campaign, I'm ashamed to say led by members of this House, has caused the police to change their decision, to change their calculation. So the Culture Secretary is right to suggest that this is not simply an operational decision. She's talking a good game, but she also says that all she can do is to question the conclusion of the police, and now she's offering more resources, asking them politely if they change their decision. Does the government not recognise that under the 1996 Police Act, the government does have the power to direct police forces to make certain decisions, and if necessary to dismiss the Chief Constable? And if she doesn't think that, will she clarify the law? Will the government clarify the law to ensure that the government can have the power to overturn decisions like this?
There is a long-established principle in this country, as set out in law, that the police are operationally independent, and I'm surprised to hear the honourable gentleman seek to question that. I've been really clear that the risk assessment and the decisions around safety and what would be needed for this game to go ahead safely with all fans present is for the police. But
not exactly backing the boys in blue, is it? More like we decide what's legal. But it doesn't end there, as Zia Yusef goes even further. He came out straight out and said it. He promised that if the reform win power, they're going to bring the police under politicians. His words, not mine. No independence, no operational freedom, just policing by party manifesto. Should you be worried?
Hooliganism is the preserve of this one particular football club is clearly for the birds. I mean, as a football fan myself, I mean, if you're going to start taking this sort of action as a result purely of hooliganism, then we'd have a lot more matches banned. But clearly, this is anti-Semitism, and I'm afraid, as Danny Kruger, our brilliant Reform MP, has just said, Reform are the only party who are not just going to bleat about this. If Reform win the next general election, Reform will bring the police under the auspices of politicians, quite rightly too, because there is a lot of unhappiness in this country about two-tier policing. At the moment, because of this operational independence thing, you have this situation where Labour, the Tories, everyone's bleating about it, saying we're deeply unhappy, but all are unwilling to take the step that is necessary, which is to say if the British people vote for a particular party with a clear line in its manifesto about such issues, we must bring the police forces we must make politicians accountable for what the police do. And I'm afraid we don't have that right now, as Danny has said in Parliament. Reform are the only ones. If you vote for Reform, you will get a change in the way policing is done so that it...
So Pochin has already promised that Reform will regain control of the judiciary. Her words. And she pushed to leave the ECHR and repealed the Human Rights Act.
When we get into power, one of the things that will be a priority for me is to regain control from the judiciary of the politicisation of the judiciary. That will change.
So, police under politicians, judges under politicians, and human rights scrapped altogether. The entire system bent to party control. So, let's just be clear, this isn't a new idea. When Hitler came to power in 1933, one of his first moves was to strip the courts of its independence and bring the police directly under party control. Judges had to swear loyalty to him personally, and the Gestapo was created as a political police, answerable only to the Nazi leadership. Human rights? Yeah, they're torn up in the Reichstag fire decree. Freedom of speech, assembly, even privacy, all gone overnight. Now, Reform aren't Nazis. Much. But when you hear promises to put police under politicians to control the judiciary and to repeal the human rights laws, those are the exact same levers that Hitler pulled to turn a democracy into a dictatorship. So yeah, these are serious, massive red flags. And then there's Nigel Farage, the great Reform figurehead, being reminded in Parliament that his party's former Welsh leader admitted taking bribes from Russia, while he himself repeats Kremlin talking points. Imagine that. Scrapping our rights at home while being accused of parroting Moscow abroad.
But I do wonder what the role of our National Security Advisor, Jonathan Powell, is in all of this. He was, of course. I will give way to the Minister.
Minister Doughty.
Chair, I'm surprised that the honourable gentleman has the gall to come here and talk about national security today, when the former leader of his party in Wales admitted taking bribes from Russia, and when yet again he has been using talking points right from the Kremlin, blaming NATO for Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Absolutely shameful. The Mauritian Attorney General was interviewed on Mauritian TV today, Madam Chair, and he said regarding his tweets, the honourable gentleman's tweets claiming that Mauritius was negotiating a lease on Paros Banos, that this was, and I quote, a gross falsehood and a political gimmick.
And to see why Reform just can't seem to agree with Reform, then you need to watch the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. We'll regain control of the judiciary.